Welcome back, guys, to Factorio Friday Facts with me, Massive Dynamic. Each week we read, react, and review the Friday facts that are posted, and we go over it and we comment on it. So stick around, we'll get right into it in just a second. Welcome back, guys, to Factorio Friday Facts, number 386 with me, Massive Dynamic. Welcome to Volcanus, posted by Arendelle. Alright, here we go, guys. This is a pretty good Friday Facts with a lot of information about the first new planet that we'll discover. It's called Volcanus. Alright, here we go. Hello there. I know a lot of you have been eagerly awaiting some solid information on the new planets. If so, this blog is for you. Get comfy because it's a long one. As you already know, there are 4 new planets in the expansion. We will take an in-depth look at each planet's terrain, challenges, processes, technologies, and new gear, but not all at once. In some cases, the planet content will be split into multiple parts. To kick things off, I'll cover the terrain and natural aspects of the planet that is closest to being finished. I'll need to be in Game Master mode for this. I don't know what that means exactly, but we'll find out. Welcome to Volcanus. Allow me to introduce this toasty volcanic wonderland conveniently sandwiched between idyllic Novice and the sizzling sun. Volcanus is closer to the sun than most would dare to venture, but trust me, it's a splendid place to start your interplanetary travels. Our journey begins amidst the blazing volcanic mountains, imposing geological landforms that often feature a central lava pit. These fiery crucibles offer a great place to get rid of waste items. Just throw them in and poof, they're gone in a glorious puff of smoke and flame. Outdated gadgets, cursed rings of power, maybe even unwanted company. The high points of the mountains are the desolate ridges that surround the lava pits. This would be a good vantage point if it weren't for the thick yellow fog that burns your lungs and etches your eyes. Further down the mountainside, sulfuric acid geysers billow thick yellow smoke from fissures. The surrounding area is pitted by dried sulfur puddles, while sulfur-stained rock covers a large area. Feel the rock crunch under your footsteps. This area has calcite deposits leaching out of the rock. It can be mined easily by your trusty mining drills, but the many cliffs, valleys, and rocky protrusions render this terrain unsuitable for anything larger than a small mining outpost. Now, they do make a few references to new enemies, but they don't say anything about them specifically, so keep your eyes out for some of those subtle references. Now, here we have a little video of a tank driving around Volcanus. So there's some of the acid pits, which apparently are safe to drive over. Many cliffs to navigate, which is not fun. The lava pits, which apparently are caustic / deadly, but they don't show what happens if the vehicle accidentally makes contact with the lava, but I'm sure it's destruction. In the shadow of the mountains, the Ashlands offer some semblance of tranquility in this turbulent landscape. The thick plains of insulating ash are like cool, comforting blankets that keep the worst of the heat at bay. Ashlands are the most habitable areas, but on this planet that's not saying much. It's mostly a desert, but clusters of vegetation defy the harsh conditions to claim a precarious existence here. The only resource here is coal, vegetation that was once buried in ash long ago, compressed, heated, and exposed once again. With flat terrain and sparse vegetation, if you're looking for a good location for a base, you won't do much better than the Ashlands. So here's a tour of the Ashlands. So there are rocks, and there are these tree-like things, which they'll talk about a little bit later on. I did read this one already. For now, they're calling these trees, but I think I think they should call them ash shrooms. Ash shrooms. You'll see why later. Descending further, we reach the basalt basins, where vast lava lakes and rivers have etched a labyrinthine network. There are many safe paths through, but the routes tend to be circuitous. It's faster to go around or over with elevated rails if you can. The lava, aside from being a formidable obstacle, is also a resource abundant with iron, copper, and stone. Finally, the pursuit of tungsten beckons exploration deeper within the lava maze. That's why you're really here, right? With unyielding toughness, that little drill you brought won't do much good. I'm sure nothing will mind if you mine a little. And there's another reference to possible new enemies. Getting upset when you start to mine the lava. It seems like it's going to be safe until you start to mine tungsten within the lava. That's the impression that I'm getting from this so far. And so here's a tour of the lava lakes. Yeah, I don't see any indication of anything, any life on the surface other than the ash shrooms. But who knows what might awaken in the depths of Vulcanus. See, there you go. Okay, so designing the planet. Now this is more an explanation of the artistry that goes into designing the planet. When designing planets or bodies for a solar system, unless they are all moons, then you'd expect different planets to be different temperatures, with hotter planets closer to the sun and cooler planets further away. Of all the planets you visit, there should be a hottest and a coldest, and it didn't feel right for either of those to be novice. So, as expected, we have at least one planet hotter and at least one planet colder than Novus. Volcanus is the hottest planet, named after Vulcan, the Roman god of fire, volcanoes, deserts, metalworking, and the forge. The name is appropriate for both this planet's terrain and the planet-specific technology. Being the hottest planet, I wanted Volcanus to have lava. I got some pushback on this on the basis that lava worlds are too cliché in games. It's not untrue, planet uniqueness is certainly a high priority, but I had some counter-arguments. That would only be true if the planet was one-dimensional and only about being lava-y. Lava-y? I guess that means full of lava. If we don't have parts of the landscape hotter than Earth, then as our hot planet, many people would find it underwhelming. The lava would be notable by its absence. As long as the planet would still be interesting, even if the lava were removed, then it is still a strong design. Adding lava doesn't have to detract from the other features of the planet as long as it is done right. So we have a volcanic planet, but it's more about the ashy plains, the mountains, and the sulfuric acid geysers than the lava rivers and volcano tops. Also, it's worth noting that earlier in the planet's development, there were some additional forms of vegetation, but those were later moved to a different planet so that we could amplify the specific desolate and scorched atmosphere that makes this planet unique and distinct from the others. On this planet, I wanted the different areas to be useful for different things, so that you treat them differently and adapt to the landscape. You can't just pave over everything until ultra late game, so initially each area has a role. The Ashlands are a great place to build because they are flat and can easily be cleared of the sparse vegetation. The mountains have two critical resources you need immediately, but they are difficult to build on until you get cliff explosives. The lava rivers area starts as an obstacle but later transitions to the most important area to mine. On the map you can see the mountains as the large circular structures, lava basins and the areas with many lava rivers, and Ashlands are the remaining flatter areas with green specks, which are trees. So here's the map. Here's a lava mountain / volcano, the Ashlands, and I forget the other one. The mountains have, and lava rivers, so, and you can see the trees. I saw some green patches here. Oh yeah, right there, some green patches, and some I assume this to be tungsten here. This darker purplish blue, I guess. So over time, the lava has become more of a pivotal part of the gameplay because it provides a lot of new opportunities. It is a new obstacle that you can't landfill for a long time, a new resource, and a new way to avoid items. They're making a big deal about being able to throw stuff into the lava. I guess because that's sadly missing in the original Factorio game, other than shooting stuff or throwing grenades at it. So including lava, here's a breakdown of the resources you have available. Okay, so lava gives you iron, copper, and stone. The excess can be thrown back in. There it is again. Coal gives you coal, but with liquefaction you can get the secondary oils too. Sulfuric acid geysers give you sulfuric acid directly, which is pretty cool. So there's coal available and acid available. So basically plastic is available directly from the planet. Calcite is a new resource, which is only useful when combined with other things, such as sulfuric acid. Interesting. Tungsten is an ore that requires some special smelting methods compared to iron and copper. So tungsten is going to take a new process. Forging the planet. The map generation, landscapes, biome distribution, etc. was the hardest part of this whole process. I'm sure that I spent a lot more time designing and building the landscape itself than any single thing that goes on it. The task is a unique blend of maths, code, and artistry. I'll cover more on how this was designed and made in a future FFF. Trying to explain it now will make this post far too technical. One area I can explain quickly, though, is the starting area. Vulcanus has a very predictable starting area compared to Novice, and this is required not just to give you access to convenient starting resources, but primarily to show you what sort of terrains that these resources appear on. Knowing the terrain associations is important here because, for example, if you want to find more sulfuric acid, then you should be exploring mountains to find it. The starting area has 3 distorted circles representing a mountain, a basalt basin, and an ashland plateau. These circles have guaranteed resource patches of sulfuric acid, calcite, coal, and tungsten. The whole arrangement can be rotated and flipped to not look too repetitive across different game seeds. All of this is done with basic maths and trigonometry, plus a bit of distortion that we will ignore for now. If you're learning trigonometry and wondering if it is ever useful, yes it is. This is just one of many ways. So here's your starting area. When you crash land, or no, not crash land, you're going to land on Volcanus purposefully. So the area basically will have this general configuration, I guess a larger lava basin with the smallest mountain and a medium-sized starting ashlands, but this can be rotated and flipped and distorted so that the starting areas don't look all exactly the same, but basically you will have these 3 areas available to you. Apparently the Venn diagrams area can probably stretch and move around too, I would imagine. So that will be interesting enough. Okay, for the tile sets within each landscape, the nature of the settings steered us in a particular directions, rock, ash, lava, etc., but there was still a lot of creative freedom within that. With volcanic rock, for example, there are a lot of different ways it can look, ranging from sponge-like pumice to folded glassy rock that almost looks like melted black plastic. We used a lot of reference photos to start the tile sets and gradually shifted them to something more purposefully alien. Factorio is a stylized game, but I try to make sure that when we diverge from reality, we do it intentionally and not out of ignorance. The typical workflow is that I'd either make a sketch of a tile set or gather some reference images. Fergal would make the textures in Substance Designer and Blender. Then we'd go through many rounds of me painting over sections of the tile set and Fergal making adjustments. When things were close to finish, then I'd do a color correction pass so that all the tile sets integrate correctly into their respective biomes. So then here's the colored biomes. They are not named, so we have to assume what they are. Obviously cliffs, I don't know. I can't begin to name these areas, but here they are. I mean, that one's obviously lava-ish. The lava requires some special attention. I've made glowing lava in the 1.1 version of the game engine a couple of times now, but I had to choose between something that has motion but looks like orange water, or something that looks like lava but has no motion to do it. For the 2.0 engine lava, Fergal made a prototype lava shader outside of the game and got something looking good using a multitude of texture layers and distortion. Doing it this way around was good, because then when the shader was implemented in-game by him and Pozzola, it was already known how many layers we need, what gets distorted by what, and so on. A more typical approach might be that the shader was coded by a programmer first, and then the artist would try to work within the constraints of the system. But I'm sure giving the artist some say in the initial constraints saved a lot of time. That's not to say that there weren't many revisions. There were many, but we have a lot to do, and saving time with a good workflow where we can certainly helps. Okay, so that basically says that they work together on the art to make the lava look kind of cool, and it does. It moves a little bit, but I don't know. These static edges of the lava lake seem a little bit. I mean, this one looks kind of good, where it's a little bit blurred by the smoky, foggy stuff. But some of these harsh lines look a little bit. It seems like it should be creeping a little bit, even if it creeped and regressed, just to make it look more alive. Because lava is kind of a living thing, and even though it's moving, you know, sort of, it's more like, I don't know, two layers kind of shifting over each other than actual movement. But it's good. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Anyway. As many of you have noticed from previous FFF deconstruction planner icon, we have some new cliffs. We tried using darker versions of novice cliffs, but that just wasn't good enough. Cliffs for this planet and others are made by Lucas. On this planet, the particular challenge with cliffs is making them visible enough. They're dark objects on a dark background, and for the north direction especially, the first versions were very difficult to see. I found that if I added a large fake shadow below the north-facing cliff, and a top edge highlight on all the cliffs, then it would get them into a state where they are readable and still integrate well with the terrain. The trade-off is a bit of unrealistic light and shadow, but usability is far more important here. Okay, so there's the cliffs. I'm still not a fan of cliffs. I mean, the designers really seem to be bent on, you know, cliffs being a part of the game, but they're just barriers to progress to me, and with cliff explosives anyway, you just get rid of them. They're I don't know, they're whatever. So anyway, I'm not going to comment too much on the cliffs. You can see a lot of small, medium craters on the terrain, and they're just decorative, meaning there's no collision or interaction. They're flat enough to build on without looking weird. If we tried to make larger craters this way, it wouldn't work, because they'd either have to look too flat or to look natural, or they'd look steep enough, but placing a machine on the edge would look wrong. The solution is to make the craters collidable, but then there are two more problems. The collision boxes are always rectangles, so hitting invisible corners is annoying, and there's a flat part in the middle that looks buildable but isn't. We also wanted some partial craters, which would mean even more special collision rules. The solution we came up with is more like a ring of special cliffs, where sections of the ring can randomly be removed. Unlike normal cliffs, we don't have special start and end sections. Fergal has made sure that all of the cliff sections can visually overlap to make a full circle, but still look right if they are on the edge of a broken crater. If I find a full circle crater, I like to put turrets in the middle, like a little fort. Okay, so they're putting lasers down. They're using, that looks like just regular lasers, so that means there must be some enemies around, otherwise there'd be no reason to put lasers down. Sulfuric acid geysers are both regional point of interest and a resource. I designed these areas to look almost like a sub-region in their own right. These areas aren't huge because they are resource indicators, and if the region is too big, then it's harder to find the right spots to place your equipment. Finding the right spots is also made easier by these resource nodes having yellow smoke. Yes, we can have animated resources now. Jersey has made the acid puddles of this section in a couple of ways. Earlier on, we had puddles filled with liquid acid, but we moved to dried up puddles because the planet feeling, or to keep the planet feeling drier. Also, building on shallow liquid acid puddles didn't look right. Yeah, that makes sense. So there's the acid geysers. These thermal vent chimneys are one of the areas we diverge from the typical Earth volcano. They add a lot of verticality to the terrain when you are exploring and help it feel a bit more alien instead of just an extreme part of Earth. The young chimneys are small, the medium ones are tall, and the old ones have crumbled back to their bases. The landscape doesn't change on its own, but these little touches help it feel like a changing world. So there's the medium ones, they're kind of tall, and I guess these are the old ones where they crumbled back. I wanted the Ashlands to look like a spectral burnt forest with dark, leafless shapes looming over you. The trees, if that is even the right word for them, are alive, but we didn't want them to look leafy or anything like actual healthy trees. Presumably, they get most of their energy by breaking down chemicals instead of photosynthesis, or perhaps they exploit the temperature gradient between the bottom and the top of the ash. From that point of view, they are maybe more of an endolith fungus, but they have trunk-like shapes and have a tree-like roll, so for now we call them trees. That's why I say they should call them ashrooms. They're like a fungus that grows from the ash, so ash mushrooms, ashrooms. Okay, you can vote on that in the comments. Ashrooms, remember. Okay, so a lot of work has been done so far, but these are... I'm sorry. A lot of work has been done so far, but there are still a few... Okay. I don't know why I'm struggling with this sentence. So far, but there are still a few remaining placeholders. The obvious ones for now are the tungsten and calcite resource graphics. Those will be replaced soon. Hopefully the others don't stand out too much like the hand-painted decoratives in the ash sand area because it may take longer to replace those. Okay. Conclusion. The path tears through ashy barrens and burning trees, winds around lava rivers and up jagged foothills, crunches through dusty calcite, and splashes through sulfuric acid geysers to the top of a mountainous volcano. Just being here feels epic. Volcanus is the most developed new planet so far, and getting to this state has been a big team effort involving most of the art team. When we return to Volcanus, you'll get to see some of the new processes of the planet and how the new resources are used. We'll also show off a couple of new structures, one that we've teased before. Can you guess which one it is and what it does? As always, erupt your thoughts to the usual places. Okay, so leave your guesses on the new structure and what it does in the forums or on Reddit. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. If you haven't done it yet, check out my series, ongoing series, Factorio Towns. We're on season 3. Also, check out my 100 days in Factorio that I posted this week. Anyways, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.